Hello everybody, I am Dr. Sarah Wooten. Thank you so much for watching this video. I have a book club. I have a 2023 book challenge, and every single month we're reading a book together and then we're reviewing it together. So in this video, I wanted to share with you my experience of reading this month's book, Atomic Habits by James Clear. This book was great, guys. So why did I pick this book? Because I have some bad habits that I wanted to stop engaging in, and then I would like to build new good habits. But the thing is I'm a busy woman, and I don't have the greatest self-discipline. And so if I'm going to build a new habit and have it stick, I needed it to be easy, and I needed it to be obvious, and I needed it to be quick, because I have 3 businesses, I have 3 children, I have a marriage, I have my own health, I have a lot going on. And so I wanted something that could help me become a better person with better habits and less bad habits, and I needed it to be easy. And the subtitle on this book says an easy and proven way to build good habits and break bad ones. And I was like, well, that sounds perfect. As far as bad habits, I wanted to break sleeping in the morning when I want to get up and get things done. One of the things I notice is I get to the end of my day and then there's just never enough time to do all the things I wanted to do. I would get my work done and, cook dinner and, try and do some physical stuff. But I also wanted to learn how to speak French. I'm going to France this year. I want to learn how to speak French. I also wanted to stay up on my habits of spirituality and keep those. And I wanted to keep my good health habits of sitting in the sauna, things like that. And then I have bad habits, like sleeping in the morning, drinking too much at night. I love watching TV at night. I love opening a bottle of wine with my husband and watching an episode of Yellowstone, which isn't bad in itself, but when you're going through 2 bottles of wine a night, that's not good. Bad habits. The other one that is just terrible for me is Instagram Reels. Literally, we'll open Instagram, like it's almost muscle memory in my phone. I will go to Reels and I'll say, I'll only watch 5 minutes. 45 minutes later, I'm highly entertained and I've lost 45 minutes of my day. In addition, I have a bad habit of getting distracted on my phone. I wanted to put in really concentrated work, but then my phone would beep or my email would ding and I'd be like, I have ADHD, I'm all over the place. So I picked this up because January is also a really good time to start building good habits, breaking bad ones, and I thought, I just want to try it. That's why. James Clear, who wrote this book, he starts out in the introduction and he talks about why he wrote this book and how. And he has a fascinating story. He was a very good baseball player in high school or college or something like that. And he took a baseball bat to the face, literally broke every bone in his face and spent years trying to rehab himself. He utilized the concepts in this book because he saw such a big change needed and that was too overwhelming. So he needed to break it down into little tiny easy micro changes that compounded over time into big changes and big awesome success at the end. He rebuilt himself from the ground up and he did it using the concepts he put forth in this book. I just think that's fascinating and I always love a comeback story. That's how he got started on this. So as I was going through this, what I noticed is that a lot of really interesting tidbits I wanted to share with you guys. But he talks about how if you make small changes every single day, that those results compound over time versus continuing one bad habit over every day. Fast forward 3 years in the future, you will either have this trajectory towards a more successful life or you will still have your bad habit and you won't have gone anywhere. I have found that I am a big destination person, or I have been, which I'm always focused on the destination. Where am I going? What am I doing? What is the goal? What are we making here? And then I found that I didn't enjoy the journey quite as much. But this is all about the journey, and the journey, if you focus on the journey, the destination shows up on its own and it's less stressful because then you're just focused on what you can do day in and day out. And he says that your habits can compound like interest for you or against you. And if you accomplish one small extra task every single day, very easy, very small, but it counts for a lot over an entire career or an entire life. There's also negative compounding as well, such as stress, being in a traffic jam, parenting responsibilities, a stressful job, worrying about making ends meet. By themselves, don't really cause any bad problems other than negatively impacting your quality of life. However, over time, compounds into high blood pressure, heart disease, mental disorders, things like that. And I just thought that was really interesting because I tend to get stressed pretty easy and I just thought, wow, you don't think of it in the moment, but if you think of it in the long term, you're really not doing things good for yourself. As I said already, been a very goal-focused person, a very destination type person. So if I'm, putting out a project, trying to lose weight or get healthy or, start a business or something, I'm always focused on the end result. And when I'm not getting the end result, I get really stressed and then I tend to give up. It just feels like the whole thing's too big and overwhelming, especially right now with the fact that I'm in the middle of literally of building 3 businesses. Building my DRSW business, the speaking and the writing, all this. I also have a card game business, and then I have an event business based on the card game. For me, I'm, looking at all of these things trying to be successful, getting frustrated and overwhelmed because I'm not where I want to be, but instead focusing just on the process itself. Oh, and by the way, Atomic, I love his title as well because he talks about small changes. And atomic, small, right? Atoms. Tiny changes that over time lead to big success. And one thing that he talked about is that basing your habits and the things that you do based upon your identity, not based upon your outcome. Your habits shape your identity and your identity shapes your habits. And so there's 3 levels he talked about of change. Outcome change, where, you're focused on changing the outcome, losing weight, building the business, saving, better relationship. And then there's the process change where you focus on the process of what you're doing to actually have that outcome. And then there's identity change where you change who you are inside and then your actions and your outcomes change because of that. So typically what we do is we focus on our outcomes, fit body, losing 10 pounds, saving $1,000, putting on a successful event, having a successful marriage, raising children, So we set our goal. I want to lose 10 pounds. And then we develop a process based on that goal. I will work out. I will eat healthy. If it's saving, I will save $100 a month. Once we have our outcome and then our process, we can become that person who weighs 10 pounds less, or that person who has big savings account, or that person who has a healthy marriage, whatever it is, right? So we focus on the outcome first, and then the process based on the outcome, get to be that person. That is an outcome-based habits where you focus on what you want to achieve. I want to have a healthy, fit body, so I will work out and eat right, and then I can be a fit person. So the way that James talks about it, he totally flips it on his head. And he says instead, you have to have identity-based habits. So you focus on who it is that you want to be, and then you act out of that mindset. So that way you are basically pretending that whatever that goal is, it's already happened. So what would a fit person do? What would a wealthy person with a big savings account do? What would somebody with a healthy marriage do? What would Jesus do? Basically, that's the idea right there. So your identity is, I'm a fit person. And then your process is, as a fit person, is, well, a fit person would work out. A fit person would eat healthy. A fit person would get a lot of sunlight. And by doing that, your outcome naturally becomes, you're a fit person. Because you've already been acting it. You act as if. And so this is fascinating to me because in like New Thought circles, they have the same idea, but it's a little bit different. They say that most people live their lives like have, do, be. So if I have money, then I will travel, which is my do, and then I will be a happy person. James says that's the wrong way to go about it. You have to be a happy person. And a happy person travels because they have money. So instead of have, do, be, you be, and out of that beingness, you do, and then you naturally have that thing. Be a healthy, fit person. You act out of that mindset. Then you work out. Your do is your workout and you eat right and it's just natural to you. And then you have a healthy, fit body. And the whole concept behind this is because you don't feel like you're depriving yourself. For example, if you are a smoker and you want to stop smoking, if you don't take on the identity of a non-smoker, then you're always going to feel like you're depriving yourself. I'm a smoker, but I'm not smoking because I don't want to smoke because I know it's bad for my health. But you're naturally going to fail doing it because your identity is that you're still a smoker. So I thought that was fascinating because your behaviors are a reflection of your identity. And if you identify as a smoker, for example, then you're going to feel deprived when you don't smoke. If you identify as a non-smoker, then not smoking is what you do. It's who you be, which is fascinating to me. So you have to first decide who you be. I am a person who gets up early. That's who I want to be. So what would a person who gets up early, what do? Well, they go to bed early. They have a night routine that supports them in winding down. They set stuff out the night before to support the things that they want to do. They turn the screens off an hour before going to bed. Things like that. So decide who you be, prove it to yourself with small wins, and success happens because you shift your identity and you focus on your processes, and then the outcomes naturally happen. Easy! So much easier than the other way. Then he also breaks habits down into 4 steps. He talks about the cue in your physical environment or thought is your cue, and then that creates a craving. Out of that craving, you perform an action to satisfy that craving. That is how humans work. That's how we act day in and day out without even thinking. So he created 4 laws that use those 4 steps I just talked about to not only create new habits, but also to destroy bad habits. Make an obvious cue that creates an attractive craving that makes us have an easy response that gives a satisfying outcome. So for me, what I wanted to start doing was I wanted to get up early and I wanted to cook breakfast for my boys before they leave in the morning. And this is important to me because they're on ski team and they have after school ski practice, weight training, all that kind of stuff. And I was noticing that they weren't doing as well and they were cranky because they weren't getting up in the morning to feed themselves properly because they don't have prefrontal cortexes yet, so they need some help. So what I was finding is I was like motivated to get up and cook for them most of the time, but it was hard. And I was like, I don't want to do this. I just want to sleep. But I was like, no, I am a person who gets up and cooks for the kids because I get up early. I needed obvious cues for me to be able to do that. And I needed to make it easy. So what I started doing based on recommendations out of this book is before I went to bed at night, I would set out everything as much as possible, get everything ready as much as possible for the next morning. So I make them oatmeal in the morning, I make them eggs, they drink milk, they have hot chocolate. So I set out everything. I put the oats into the pot. I set out the pan for the eggs. I put salt and raisin and sugar into the oatmeal the night before. I set out the hot cocoa. I put it into the cups. I set out the glasses and the plates and everything. So in the morning when I come up and I'm super groggy, I just go, oh, look, it's all set up for me. So much easier. I'm so much more likely to keep doing it. And I got that recommendation out of this. So that was make it obvious. Oh, and then he inverts the 4 laws to break habits. So make the cue for the bad habit invisible. Remove it from your environment. So for us, it's wine at night. I love drinking wine with my husband at night. So what we did is we took all the wine and we put it 3 stories down in the basement in a locked closet with the key in a different part of the house. So I really have to want to drink wine if I'm going to go get a bottle. And then we only get 1 bottle out at a time. He suggests, like, if you want to stop watching TV so much, unplug it after each use. If you want to go even further, take the TV and put it in a closet when you're done watching it every time. So he talks about implementation intention, which is a plan on how you intend to implement a habit. So, because you have to have a plan in order to follow through. Remember, motivation will only get you so far. Hack it. Make it easy so that you can actually keep going with the habit after your motivation has all gone, right? So implementation intention. When something happens, I will do something else. Or I will do a certain action at a certain location. For me, I wanted to be distracted less in the morning by Instagram Reels. They're so fun, but they just distract me so much. So I did an implementation intention. When I make tea in the morning, I will play the daily Sudoku and Mahjong puzzle. And then he also talks about habit stacking. So where you stack a new habit on top of a current habit to make it more likely that you will continue the new habit. So after I play my puzzles, which is a fun habit, I like that, then I will meditate. After I meditate, then I will shower. If this, then that, right? So you have a plan so you know exactly that you're not going to finish your puzzles or your cup of coffee and then just get sucked into the reels for 45 minutes. No, you make the tea, then you play your 2 puzzles, then you meditate, then you shower. That's my plan. You can also apply this to healthy habits with your pets. February is Dental Health Month. Most people don't have a routine of brushing teeth for their pets. If you guys do, awesome sauce, very good job. But if you're trying to start that habit, it's best if you stack that habit onto something that you already do. So for example, when I brush my teeth, I will brush my dog's teeth. If this, then that. Brilliant. So let's see, what else do I want to talk about from this book? I want to talk about how motivation is overrated. I already said that. You will find more success, he says, when you design your environment to support your new habits, because your motivation will run out and your environment often dictates your behavior, which is why addicts often relapse after they leave rehab and go back to their home where all their old cues and triggers are. So make your environment work for you. That's what I did with the kids' breakfast stuff. I set everything out so that when I come upstairs, all the cues are there. All I have to do is follow the cues. So much easier for me. If you want to, for example, start a healthy walking program with your dog, set the leash somewhere obvious so that when you come home, or maybe you want to walk in the morning before you go to work, put the leash on your nightstand. And so you wake up and you see the leash, and even better, set out your clothes that you're going to wear all out there so that you don't have to think in the morning. You just get up and go. This helps because your environment dictates your habits. Also, your company dictates your habits. People that you spend the most time with. So Jim Rohn, motivational speaker, says that you are the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. Are those people making you better, or are they making you worse? So make sure that you're surrounding yourself with company that supports the new habits. That's why so many people join a run club if they want to start running, or a book club if they want to start reading. Woo! The second law he talks about is making whatever it is you want to do attractive. And he talks about temptation building, which I thought was very interesting. And again, this all comes down to working with your biology and working with what makes this easy, and not beating yourself up when you fall short on a habit. That actually can work against you. And again, it's not that you're lazy, or it's not that it's hard for you to start these new habits. Your brain is wired for comfort. Your brain is wired for the same thing, even if that same thing is keeping you stuck. Your brain is wired to conserve energy. We have brains that look for the easiest way to do things all the time, which is why new habits, which require new neural connections, can make it really difficult for you to build new habits, because you have all these old neural connections. Now you have to build new ones, which is why it's good to make it easy. So he talks about temptation bundling, which works by linking an action you want to do with an action that you need to do. For example, I work from home. I have to be self-disciplined about when I work, when I don't work, when I start, when I stop, distractions, everything. And it's not hard for me to do my work, but it's hard for me to do something good for my mental well-being afterwards. Because typically by the time I'm done working, family's home, it's time to cook dinner, it's time to interact, but my nervous system needs downtime. After my temptation bundling went like this. After I finish my work for the day, which is a habit I already have, I will meditate or take a walk. And after I meditate, which is a thing I need to do regularly because it's hard for me to get it in the afternoon, I will watch an episode of Outlander because I love Jamie Fraser, and that is a big reward for me doing something that I'm trying to build the new habit of doing.